16e al de eerste jonge denker des vaderlands. Ze is filosofe, pianist, het nichtje van, en violiste. En ook nog Nederlands kampioen Kung Fu. Maar ze is hier vanavond omdat ze ook nog oprichter is van het expertisecentrum Data Ethiek. En ze onlangs is verkozen tot een van de 100 most brilliant women in AI ethics. We gaan luisteren naar het verhaal van Ajuna Soerjadi.
Raise your hand if you have used AI today. Now, many of you may be thinking about ChatGPT, but the world of AI is actually much bigger than that. If you used Google Maps to get here tonight, or social media, or facial recognition to open your phone, you have already used AI. AI is deeply part of the lives that we live. And some people are very excited about it, and some people are worried about robots gaining consciousness, taking over the world. But as much as big tech would like you to believe that this is the problem that you should be afraid of, the real problem of AI is much darker. Did you know that Black people are more likely to be hit by a self-driving car? Or that when you search for white girls on Google Ads, you see happy playing kids, but when you search for Black girls, you get pornographic content. Or that in the Netherlands, an algorithm was used to identify fraud, and it wrongly accused racial minorities. Tens of thousands of families were pushed into poverty, children were removed from their homes, all leading to high levels of stress, health problems, and sometimes even suicide. And of those parents, 482 children have died, which is a number higher than usual and unacceptable. This is what I'm concerned about. AI is a reflection of society as it is and not the society we want. Because these are not isolated incidents, they are manifestations of the fundamental problem that AI repeats and reinforces existing inequalities, and it worsens the biggest global challenges that we already have. I started working in AI ethics because I could not look away. I know what it's like to be discriminated against and how tough it is for people to not even have the words to make sense of their own experience of racism, especially when it comes to an algorithm that is way too opaque and complex for people to understand. It's really hard to prove algorithmic discrimination when everyone around you is saying that algorithms don't see color. So, today I want to take you through 4 levels of algorithmic injustice to show you why AI cannot be understood without its social context. And that this is not a matter of fixing technical errors, but a deeply philosophical and ethical matter. The conversations we should be having start with questions like in what kind of society we want to live, what we value, for what purposes we want to build AI, and who gets to decide that. So let's take you with me in the first layer, lack of diversity in the datasets. Facial recognition systems are trained on massive amounts of data, but they structurally perform the worst on darker female faces. And researcher Joy Bulamwini found that these systems performed so poorly that they could only recognize her face as a human face if she put on a white mask. So why does this happen? Well, the data that the system are trained on consists mostly of pictures of white male faces. So it learns to recognize these faces as human faces, and it can't deal with faces that look different. But this inequality has far-reaching consequences, from people not being able to log into their software to innocent Black people getting sent to jail because a facial recognition system misidentified them and said, yep, this is the criminal, when it was actually someone else. It had to take a Black woman to say, hey, these systems don't work for us. The second level, prejudice and stereotypes in the data. If you ask Midjourney what it thinks different Barbies around the world would look like, it comes up with very peculiar pictures. So it came up with this picture of Sudanese Barbie, and if you look closely, you see that she is wearing a gun, when it wasn't in the prompt. Or when this woman asked AI to make her picture more professional, it gave her blue eyes and basically made her white. Or when you type into Yahoo, "Why are black women?" you get auto-completion suggestions such as angry, loud, so difficult, so undesirable. And this is not just offensive, it is dangerous. To illustrate, in Amsterdam, only a few kilometers from here, an algorithm was used to predict which children were most likely to commit crime in the future, just like in the movie Minority Report. And it came up with a list of 400 names, and they were mostly Moroccan names. And these children were innocent, but they were treated as if they were criminals, and they could not contest because the workings of these algorithms are often kept secret. But why did it come up with a list of 400 Moroccan names? Well, the crime statistics that such AI is trained on do not only reflect actual crime rates, but also prejudice in the police and racial profiling, meaning if two people commit the same crime, police will be more likely to arrest the Moroccan man, and these are always the people that get picked out during border control, and all of this is reflected in the data. But there's more prejudice in the algorithm because it also reflects our biased way of thinking about what crime is in the first place. All of these algorithms are meant to detect a very specific type of crime, the type of crime that gets committed by people in lower social positions. But none of these algorithms were meant to detect white-collar crime like tax fraud by billionaires, or exploitation or wage theft by employers, or political corruption. So these systems keep feeding into the stigmatizing idea that racial minorities are dangerous when in reality crime is everywhere, and it would probably be more beneficial for society to have these algorithms target the rich people crimes. Level 3. Structural injustice, negative feedback loops, and self-fulfilling prophecies. Yes, we're getting deeper into it now. Remember when I said that people tend to think AI doesn't see color? Well, it's true that AI does not have explicit information about your race or your gender, but it can track it via other ways. So if AI has access to socioeconomic information like your education level, the place where you live, or your income level, it likely also knows your race, because people of color don't have the same opportunities in education and housing and on the job market. So there's a correlation with this information and race. To illustrate, algorithms predict where the most crime will be, so they will send more police to a specific area. But as you can imagine, where there are more police, there will also be more arrests, because more crime gets noticed there. And this data will be then fed back into the algorithm, leading to the illusion that the predictions of the algorithm were correct. So it will send even more police to that area, leading to a self-fulfilling prophecy in which the algorithm confirms its own predictions. And some people tell me, well, humans are biased too, so what's the problem with AI? Well, the problem is that AI discrimination can be much more dangerous than human discrimination because it doesn't only mirror existing inequalities, it also reinforces and exacerbates them in this way. The fourth level, global injustice, climate impact, and colonial mechanisms. Often, when organizations work on responsible AI, they rarely address how their AI impacts inequality on a global level. The training of a language model such as ChatGPT emits so much CO2, it's equivalent to 125 flights between New York and Beijing. And every time you have a conversation with ChatGPT, you are using clean drinking water that other people need. The people in Uruguay are suffering so much drought that salt water has to be mixed in their drinking water, and yet Google wants to exploit their water supply to use it for the data storage centers that power the AI that we use. AI keeps getting built for people that are already in richer parts of the world, so the benefits and harms are not equally divided. And there are deeply colonial mechanisms in AI. The things you learned about the VOC, the Dutch East India Company, ChatGPT has also learned. So when you ask ChatGPT about the VOC, it gives you 7 paragraphs about the economic prosperity that came from the Dutch trading spirit, and it leaves out that this profit was achieved due to the violent exploitation and dehumanization of the enslaved. And when you ask ChatGPT who built all these beautiful buildings in the Netherlands, it gives you the names of the architects, but not of the women who were forced to carry the stones on their heads. So where does this leave us? It's clear that we need to look at AI differently. Instead of futuristic speculations, we need to confront ourselves with how AI is harming people now. Before we start asking how to improve AI, we need to ask why we develop it in the first place. Why do we keep developing AI that pushes poor people further down when we can build AI that identifies people who need help but don't know how to ask for it? People who have a right to receive childcare benefit but maybe don't even know it. AI ethics is not a matter of technical improvement, but ethical conversation about what we want and how AI can be aligned with our shared values. But AI cannot be called human-centered if your definition of human does not include all humans. And to make AI truly inclusive, we need input from different perspectives, especially the perspective of minorities, because they have access to knowledge that is deeply rooted in their own experience of exclusion. Diversity is key. Just like ecosystems thrive through a diversity of plants and animals, so does society flourish because we are different people with different perspectives. And if we all contribute to that conversation about what role we want AI to play in our society, we can create a future that we don't have to fear, but a future in which we can all feel at home and a future we can look forward to. Thank you.